How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to Monitor Comics, the channel where we create comics and manga. If this is your first time stopping by my channel, then I hope you can check out some of my other videos after you're finished watching this one. We have already covered a ton of cool comic making tutorials such as how to script your comic, how to create great shonen female characters, and 10 tips for world building in your comics and manga. In today's video, we're going to be going over 5 tips for creating great villain characters. Make sure you watch this video in its entirety so you can learn how to incorporate great villain characters into your comics, manga, and webtoon projects. But first, let's hear a word from today's sponsor. This video is brought to you by Squarespace. From websites and online stores to marketing tools and analytics, Squarespace is the all-in-one platform to build a beautiful online presence and run your business. Recently, I've been using Squarespace's professional portfolio and gallery designs to present my work on my own personal website. What's really cool is there are so many different gallery options to choose from. You can even create password-protected pages to share work with clients. Just take a look at this really cool website I created. I now have a central hub to show off all of my graphic novel projects, YouTube videos, and contact information. In just a few clicks, you can do the same. Another feature I've been playing around with is the connected social media interface. Using Squarespace, I can display posts from all of my different social media accounts right on my website. I can even push website content to my social media accounts so my followers can easily share it around. For my next project, I think I'm going to set up an online shop using Squarespace. I really want to start selling art prints on my published Saturday AM manga series and maybe even some official merchandise for this YouTube channel. Head over to squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch your website, go to squarespace.com/monitorcomics to save 10% off your very first purchase of a website or a domain. Thank you again, Squarespace, for sponsoring this video. And now let's get back to the video. First, what exactly defines a villain character? According to our good friends over at Oxford Dictionary, a villain character is a character whose evil actions or motives are important to a plot in your story. A villain is a stock character whose sole purpose is to oppose the hero character and their motives. Hero characters are defined by feats of integrity, bravery, and justice. In contrast, a villain is often defined by their acts of selfishness, evilness, arrogance, cruelty, and immoral behavior. Sometimes, it's helpful to figure out your villain characters before coming up with your story's hero. This is because your villain is the driving force that is going to make your character be heroic. Think of popular anime characters like Suzuki from Mob Psycho 100, Crocodile from One Piece, All For One from My Hero Academia, Muzan from Demon Slayer, Griffith from Berserk, and Frieza from Dragon Ball Z. All of these characters serve as iconic villains to their respective series. In terms of Western comics, think of popular characters like Dr. Octopus from Spider-Man, Magneto from X-Men, Thanos from Avengers, Joker from Batman, Black Adam from Shazam, and Reverse Flash from The Flash. It's important to remember that villain characters are not synonymous with antagonists, just as hero characters are not synonymous with protagonists. Antagonists are characters who oppose or compete with your story's protagonist to drive the plot forward. Every antagonist is not a villain, but every villain character is an antagonist. Villain characters can be great additions to your comic and manga projects. Let's jump into today's 5 tips. Tip 1. Connection to the hero. Some of the greatest villains in literature have strong ties to the central protagonist. Your villain should aid in your protagonist's character development through their inherent opposition to them. In Harry Potter, for example, the protagonist Harry and the series villain Lord Voldemort are connected through a shared history. Lord Voldemort murdered Harry's parents when he was just a child and left him with a scar. The scar is a symbolic reminder of the connection shared between the two characters. Another example would be Ryo and Akira from Devilman Crybaby. Both characters begin the story as childhood best friends who have to navigate a demon invasion. Both characters are connected through their shared history. As the events of the story unfold, it's revealed that Ryo is the series' true villain. While it's easy to see which character is on the right side of history, we feel an attachment to the villain character because we have had time to know and connect with them. By giving your villain character some connections to your hero character, it will allow your reader to understand the importance of them in the story. Tip number 2. Clear morality. You should have some sort of justification for your villain character acting the way that they do. Make your reader understand the desperation or belief that led your villain character to this point. An easy way to do this is to let your villain character see themselves as the hero in their own story. Think of a character like Sho Tucker from Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. Tucker was far from the series' main villain, but he had earned notoriety among fans for his unforgivable act. Tucker's family lived in poverty. They briefly escaped after Tucker received his state alchemist license for his research in the chimera hybrid alchemy. Tucker's wife eventually left him to be the sole caregiver of their young daughter. In a desperate attempt to not be cast out by the state, Tucker sacrificed that daughter to produce a successful chimera. Tucker justified his actions as a price that needed to be paid to further scientific knowledge. By establishing a clear morality, your villain character will appear more three-dimensional and realistic to the reader. Tip number 3, creating a worthy opponent. A good villain character should be strong or a worthy adversary to your hero. They shouldn't be weak or easily beaten. They also shouldn't be overpowered to the point that the only way to defeat them is by random luck. Having a villain who is equal to in skill or intelligence to your hero will raise the stakes of your story's conflict. Think of a character like Lex Luthor from the Superman comics. Lex Luthor is a supervillain without any superpowers. He's an evil genius and a billionaire. Despite lacking extraordinary powers, many villains are willing to follow Lex Luthor. He is the polar opposite to Superman. In some versions, his hatred of Superman is due to the incident when they were both children. In other versions, it's merely due to believing that Superman is a threat to mankind who must be eradicated. While Lex Luthor cannot match Superman blow for blow like a villain like Darkseid or Doomsday, he has used his genius to unleash pain on Superman on more than one occasion. This can be seen through Bizarro, the Orange Power Ring, and various kryptonite weapons. By creating a worthy opponent for your protagonist, you'll be able to highlight your hero's strengths and weaknesses. Tip number 4, creating a compelling backstory. Any good villain should have an interesting and credible backstory. A memorable backstory allows your reader to identify and even sympathize with the villain. Think of a character like Griffith from Berserk. For the majority of the series, he is one of the main protagonists that you want to see succeed and fulfill his dream of becoming a king. That is, until his eventual turn to the dark side. From the beginning, Griffith is clear in his intentions that he will do whatever it takes to become king. He lives in a gray area between good and evil. He's done some truly disturbing and destructive things throughout the series. His fall from grace comes from one of the most inhumane and menacing betrayals in manga history. By creating an interesting backstory for your villain character, you'll give your reader the opportunity to understand them on a more personal level. A villain with a compelling backstory can also leave a big impact on your reader's overall enjoyment of your series. Finally, tip number 5, creating an entertaining villain. This tip is completely optional and may not apply to every single villain character in your story. However, a hint of humor can sometimes go a long way with villainous characters. By adding comedic elements, you can create a character that your audience loves to hate. Think of villain characters like Twice from My Hero Academia. He's the closest thing to Marvel's Deadpool in the anime world. He is a quirky lunatic with humorous split personalities. Due to his superpower Double, he is able to make doppelgangers of himself. He often finds himself arguing with himself and contradicting himself. While Twice is a villain, the audience can't help but root for him. By adding a bit of lightheartedness to your villain character, you can greatly enhance their likability and relatability. Hopefully you got some value out of this video. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Leave a comment down below telling us about your favorite villain character in any comic, manga, webtoon, or light novel project you've read. You can support me on all of my social media accounts using the links down in the description below. In case you didn't know, I live stream sometimes on YouTube. If you ever miss a stream, you can rewatch the VOD by going to my unlisted playlist titled Livestream VODs. I'm also a published Saturday AM manga artist. You can read the first chapter of my manga, Change the World, using the link in my description below. As always, keep creating everyone. I'll see you all in the next one.